Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Everything here is very good. I play tested Rival Rails again last night at my library game group with all the changes that we talked about yesterday, and I think I can say the game is done ish. It's funny. We were playing. I was playing with my friend Dan. He played one of the very early prototypes, and he liked the very early prototype. I did not. Most people did not, but he didn't have a problem with it. But he really liked this version. So I'm playing with him. We had a few spectators show up as we were playing, and one person said something about what is this, and I told him it's a game I've been working on, blah 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 blah, and they were like, "Oh, is it done?" And Dan and I both said it's done-ish at the same time. Like, it was pretty funny. Because I think it is done. I think that the product that I have currently is perfect. It doesn't need anything else. And that's what I want to talk about. Because years and years ago, if you roll back 10 years ago, maybe even 12 years ago, I don't know, back when I signed Scallywags, my first published by another publisher game, I thought, man, I've got this chance, right? At that point in time, I had a game coming out from a very respected publisher. I had a chance. Like, this was my chance, and I'm going to take it. And I put all of my energy into game design, graphic design, and I guess not necessarily teaching about it, but blogging about it. I put a lot of energy into being very, very forward. At that point, I called it open game design, meaning that, like, open source code is when you write a program and the source code is available for anybody to look at. I wanted that same thing for gaming. I wanted to be like, I'm designing a game, and here's the steps that I've gone through to get to where I'm at. Every single step of the way. Every single playtest I logged. I wrote what I was feeling, why I was feeling it. I wrote about how playtesters interacted with my thoughts, how I interact with my playtesters' thoughts, how I translated playtesters' thoughts into real game mechanics or real ideas. And I wrote a lot, and I ended up getting a pretty decent following just from that activity, right? I ended up having, in fact, some of you probably know me from that time, and you found me during that time. I was very prolific in the board game design space. I was traveling to designer meetups. I was traveling to proto spiels to playtest other people's designs. And so I had a lot of information about game design, and I was sharing it as much as I possibly could. All of that is to say that during that time, and ever since, I've often had new designers, the main question I get asked is, how do you know when it's done? And I don't think there's an answer for that. Because when I look at the game that I played last night, I can say, yep, done. I could honestly say it, and I could be very happy with the product that I have created. I could package it up, and I could sell it to you, and I would not feel at all like I have done a disservice to you or the game. I would feel like, yep, this is a very good game. Here it is. Is it done? I said earlier it's done-ish. And what I mean by that is, everything I just said is true. The game is done. I can hand it to you and say, play this game. I think it's great. And I wouldn't feel ashamed if you didn't like it, because I feel like I have built the best game I could build out of it. I wouldn't feel let down if people posted negative reviews about it. I feel like the game has an audience, and the audience that the game is targeted to would love it, and they would have a blast playing it, and I'd feel very confident in saying that. But, asterisks, just like everything, the ish part of this is, I could tweak on this game forever. I already have a list of notes of things I could try. I could try this, I could try that, I could do this, I could do that. And all of these things are little tiny quality of life improvements, little tiny tweaks, little tiny, what if I made it a little bit more like this? What if I made it a little bit more like that? And there becomes a point when you have to look at what you have created, whether it's a board game or an art or a book or whatever, and you have to say, are the changes that I'm making fundamental to this product? Or am I making changes because I don't want to stop working on it, right? That's the difference. I did make tweaks today. Most of them were monetary tweaks, meaning that I needed to balance the economy a little bit, or I needed to incentivize certain actions. So I, increased value for those actions, or I needed to because some actions became a little bit too prevalent. I needed to decrease the benefit of those actions. So I did a little bit of that today. And I redesigned the contract cards because I didn't like their look. So, that was just a visual thing. When I find myself now, when I look at my notes, Dan told me last night he wished there was a way, maybe it's a once per game thing, or it's some special, if you do these 3 things, you get to do this special thing. He wanted to have a long shot way of having a bonus. Like, my hand is okay, I can make an okay play, but if I could just do this one little thing, I would feel so much better about my turn. And so he was asking for that. And when you receive that sort of feedback, the playtester isn't saying, he gave me a couple ideas. How about a token that you flip and you do this? How about a thing that you can buy and it does this? How about something that you can keep, and if at the end of the game you still have it, it's worth points, but if you don't, it does a thing. He gave me those ideas. But what he's really saying is, I felt like I had a couple of turns where my decisions weren't important, or my decisions weren't impactful. And so how do I address that, right? So as a designer, I go, all right, is that a fluke of that particular setup? Because the board that I've developed, the board and the rivers and the mountains, they're static. But everything on that board, all the pieces are shuffled at the start of the game. So it could be just his hand, the way the board was laid out, it just wasn't a good match. And being his first game, he didn't necessarily draw cards that were beneficial for his position. That's a possibility, and I have to think about that. And I have to think about, do I take that, do I add another thing? Do I add a token that you can use once per game, and if you don't use it, it's worth money? I could, and I've already thought of 3 or 4 different versions of that token. Is it worth it, though? Is it worth having an extra segment in the rulebook? Is it worth having an extra component in the box that's just a one-turn makeup mechanic? I don't think it is, honestly. So then I thought about, okay, well, can I have special actions that are only available on certain turns? So for instance, the deck of cards where you lay trains, they're valued 3 through 5. What if those 3 value cards, because they're rare, there's not a lot of them, because I didn't want you to feel, oh my god, all I'm getting is 3s, and you're getting all the 5s, and that feels really wrong to me. What if those 3 value cards had some bonus? You can play this as a 3 value card, and you could pay a little extra and do something. I thought about that, and I thought about, oh, well, that would be cool if the 5s are even more rare than the 3s. What if the 5s had some extra little thing on them? To give those 2 ends of the spectrum some little thing. I discussed how I could rebuild the round track. I've already redone it, and it works fine. But what if it was a deck of cards instead, and each time you did a thing, you advanced, you drew a card, and it gave you some special bonus. So I have a whole list of notes of could be's. It could be this, could be this, could be this, could be this. And I have to look at that and go, am I just tweaking things because I don't want to let it lie? Probably. The reality is, any of those things that I just mentioned are just adding unnecessary complexity, unnecessary rules in the rule book to make the player feel good on that one turn. It's okay in the game if you have a turn where you're just like, damn, I really wish I'd have had this. That's fine. That's part of gaming, right? It happens in almost every game I play. So I'm okay with leaving that alone and not infinitely tweaking little tiny details. Once I have the market set, I think I'm pretty close. I think I'm going to play test it again tonight with 2 friends. Actually, 1 friend and M. Once I've tested it tonight and I make sure the market is working the way I want, I think it's officially 100%. I'm done. I'm not going to work on it anymore. I'm going to find a publisher, or I'm going to figure out how to self-publish it. And I feel very confident about that. I'm really happy with it. I'm very, very, very happy with it. I think it's a great little 2-player train game. And my friend Dan last night said he said, I expletive love this game. And he said, I really do. He really likes it. So that's a good sign for me. But it's done when the changes that you want to make are minutia, and that's all that's left. That's when I say it's done. I will save some of those ideas. I have 3 expansion maps, and I'm dead serious, with 3 very different terrain mechanics, turn-based mechanics that are ready to go. Like, I just need to transpose all the changes that I've made to the boards, and I could play those different maps. And so I already have I have a lineup for this game. I have expansions in line, and I can just take some of those little ideas, and maybe that adds on. That's an add-on. That's an add-on. That's something that if you want that, you can choose to add it later. For now, it's fine the way it is. So we'll see. Good times. I really enjoy playing this game, and I'm going to work this weekend on updating the Tabletop Simulator module so we can play it if you want. One of us, one of you, all of you. I don't care. Let's all play it. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is knitted. It is an adjective meaning bright and lustrous. Brock and Jenny flew through knitted moonbeams in Brock's new Gulfstream GIV personal jet. Knitted. N-I-T-I-D. I'm assuming it's knitted. It's got the N-I-T in all caps as the emphasis syllable, but maybe it's knighted? I don't think it is, though. Or they think they would have spelled that out. I think it's knitted. Never heard that.